everyone, I'm Cindy Winget, the author of The Apparition, and welcome to my channel. It's time for my November wrap-up. So I unfortunately was only able to get to 5 books this month, so I was kind of slacking, but some of these were bigger than normal, so I'm blaming it on that. So in my TBR video, I chose 6 books to read, and I only managed to get to 3 of them, starting with The Deep by Amakatsu. And I enjoyed this one for what it was, but I wouldn't call this a horror novel. This was definitely a historical fiction novel, in my opinion. Yes, it had like a tiny dollop or dash of ghosts in it, but not enough to make it a horror novel. But I did enjoy it. It's about this woman who was on the Titanic when it sank, and then she went onto the Britannic as a nurse, and then that one sank as well. And they're blaming it on supernatural reasons. So the premise was really, really good, but this felt more like a drama almost. Our main character was kind of obsessed with this guy who was already married and had a baby and stuff, and her obsession was just like right away, and it was kind of jarring. And then you learned about all these other rich people that were on the Titanic and stuff, and it was interesting, but it just wasn't quite what I wanted from this book. So while I did enjoy it and I would give this 4 stars, I wouldn't recommend it for horror lovers. And I don't know, it just wasn't really my favorite. This is my second book for Amakatsu, and maybe she's just not the author for me, but I do have The Hunger by her, so I am going to read that at some point, hopefully in the snowy winter months. But yeah, I really don't have much to say about this one, unfortunately, because I just felt like it was mostly just okay, and it was a fine read, but it wasn't any favorite and it wasn't terrible. It just is what it was. I know, kind of a boring review, and I apologize for that, but it is what it is. So moving on. So next I read the sci-fi novel Princess of Dune. So this is the last one in the series that I haven't read, kind of. There was a trilogy before this. I can't remember what they're called. I think it was like Leto of Caladan or something, and then Lady of Caladan, and then Heir of Caladan, about Leto, Jessica, and Paul. But I read the first one and it was mostly just filler, so I didn't feel the need to continue that series. But when this one came out, I was really excited for it because I love Chani and I loved this cover, and I just love the world of Dune. So in this book, I guess you don't really learn anything new. Like everything they tell you is stuff that you already get from the rest of the series, so nothing groundbreaking. However, I did enjoy being back in the world of Dune. I did enjoy being with these characters again, and I didn't feel like it just blathered on for no reason. Like it had a plot, it had a reason, and I did enjoy it. I really had a good time with this, and I would give it 4 stars. So if you like Dune, if you're okay with the writing of the son, even though it's not Frank Herbert, then I would recommend this. If you just want to have not really a light, fluffy time, but it's not anything to do with the main plot of the main series or anything, but if you just want to be in the world of Dune again, if you want to hear about Chani and also about the Emperor's daughter Rulon, then I think this is a good one to pick up. So I enjoyed my time with it. And then the last book from my TBR that I read was Bellevue by Robin Cook, and this one I did not enjoy. This is my first book from Robin Cook, and I was really shocked by the writing because it was pretty bad. And I was thinking to myself, there's no way you start the medical thrillers genre and have a ton of books and have been writing for decades and then write something this terrible. So this is not indicative of his work, I would say. Even though I haven't read anything else from him, I can guarantee he doesn't write like this in his other books, because there's no way he would be as prolific as he is writing the way that he writes in this book. He would have flopped a long time ago. So the dialogue was repetitive, the plot was repetitive. This is one of the most repetitive books I've ever read. It just went through the same thing over and over and over again. I want to tell you what it is, but it would probably be spoilery because that's the whole entire book. And I don't know, it felt like he just wanted to show his medical prowess, so you'd have a surgery and he'd give you all the details, and then something would happen, and then another surgery and tell you all the details, and something would happen, just over and over and over again. And so it was pretty boring. I probably should have DNF'd this, but I didn't. I just kept going. And it did have some good descriptions, but again, the plot was repetitive. The descriptions were repetitive. repetitive. The dialogue was repetitive. And so while I liked the descriptions of the ghost and stuff at first, it was like every time we met this ghost, it was the same description over and over and over. I'm like, okay, I get it. We know what she looks like. You know why she's there. We get it. And so I just didn't love this one. I would probably only give this 2 stars, unfortunately. So that was a bummer because I was really looking forward to this one. Like I said, I haven't read anything by Robin Cook, and as far as I know, he's never written a supernatural tale before, so I was really excited to blend thriller with horror, but this was pretty weak in my opinion. I don't think it would appeal to horror lovers, and I don't think it would appeal to his regular audience either. So unfortunately, this is not his best. One thing I will say about this though is the epilogue was phenomenal. It was gory and it made me squeamish. It had to do with eyes. Ugh. It just really creeps me out. So it's about a lobotomy, so you probably know what I'm talking about when I say it's about eyeballs, but ew, it's disgusting, but I loved it. It was very well written. So that was the best part of this book, unfortunately, was the epilogue. Did I say epilogue? I meant prologue. The prologue was the best part of the story, not the epilogue. So I also read a manga this month because I heard about this in another booktuber's video, and it was a Junji Ito manga and I had no idea it existed, and that is the 2nd volume to Liminal Zone. I had no idea that this was even out, and I'm so glad that Gavin from Gavin Reads It All went to the bookstore and talked about this book, because I needed to run out immediately and get it because I loved the Liminal Zone, the 1st volume, and like I said, I had no idea that he wrote a 2nd volume for it, so I was like, yay! So I had to go get it. So this is a short story collection and it only has 4 stories, and 3 of them I really enjoyed, although with Junji Ito, I'm not always a big fan of his endings. Sometimes I feel like they're lackluster, or sometimes I feel like he just didn't know how to end them, so he ended it. Some people would argue that he does it on purpose because it's supposed to like add to the atmosphere or to the uncertainty, or you know, it's supposed to be very ambiguous or whatever, but I don't know. I personally feel like sometimes it's too abrupt. You just have this really fantastic story and then it's just like the end, and I just don't love it. So for me personally, I feel like a lot of his endings are pretty weak, but I do love his stories and I thought they were really good. There was one in particular that was pretty gross as he likes to do, and I loved it. But we also had this, I think it's the Hikuro family. I'm probably butchering that name, I don't know. But he's written about this family a lot. It's the one that has Soichi in it, and at least I think that's his name. And I just don't love that family. I mean, not in the way that you're not supposed to love them because they're creepy and weird and you're not supposed to like them. But I mean, I don't like them in the sense that I'm just not that interested in their story. And so he keeps writing short stories involving this family, and he even had a whole book dedicated to Soichi, and I just don't love it. It's not one of my more favorite things from Junji Ito, so unfortunately one of the stories in this does center around that family. And it wasn't terrible. I mean, I still liked it, but when I first got to that story and saw who was it about, I was just like, no, I don't want to read about them. But anyways, it's very short, but enjoyable. I love Junji Ito. He's a great mangaka. I love his art. I love his stories, and I will continue to pick up anything that he writes. Okay, and then last but not least, I picked up Dan Brown's new book, The Secret of Secrets, which by the end, I understand why the title is The Secret of Secrets, and I'm like, okay. But when I first picked up this book, I just thought that title was so lame. The Secret of Secrets. Like, it just sounds stupid to me. But like I said, it makes a little bit more sense when you get to the latter part of the book. But this is a chunker of a book. This is like 600 and some odd pages, and it's very like physically heavy. But I am a fan of the Robert Langdon novels, and this is no different. This is very formulaic, you know, where you have Robert Langdon and he has a new girl in every book. Although in this case, she's a new girl in the sense that they're going out for the first time, but you did meet her in The Lost Symbol, so she's not technically new. But either way, you know, he always has a new girl, and then they get embroiled in some big conspiracy or government cover-up or whatever, and then the person that he's with always has some big technological or ideological secret that's going to change the world and change the way we view things and stuff like that. So This is very much the same as all his other Robert Langdon novels. So if you enjoyed his other novels, then you will definitely enjoy this one. So I didn't think it needed to be as long as it was, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was good, and it has short chapters, so I feel like I was flying through it, sort of. Like I feel like I was flying through it, but at the same time, it took me like 2 weeks to read, which for me is a long time to read a book. But at the same time, it's the length of 2 regular novels, so it makes sense because I usually read a novel within 5 to 7 days. So it's really the same as always, but because it's one book, it makes it feel especially long, if that makes sense. But yeah, I did enjoy this one. I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. So if you're a Dan Brown fan, I would recommend this one. I needed to read this one in November. Please don't judge me. I bought this for my dad for Christmas, and I wanted to read it regardless. And so I was like, I already have this copy. Why not just read it before I give it away? So I don't know. Maybe you'll judge me for that, but it is what it is. So I wanted to read it in November so that I could gift it to my father in December. So I know this video is very, very short. Usually my wrap-ups are a lot longer, but usually I've read double the amount of books as well. So sorry that it's so short, but I hope you enjoyed it anyways. If you did, please let me know with a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you feel so inclined. I post every Friday, and I hope to see you in the next one. See ya!